Hey, everybody. On Sunday, Oakland Mayoral candidate for 2022 and for the third time, Peter Liu, in response to a planned forum at Temple Sinai in Oakland, which featured only 3 of the 10 Oakland mayor's race candidates, went on an email based anti Semitic rant directed at Temple Sinai. Peter in the past has been known for his, as one would call them, antics, which were sexist in some parts, racist in others, but at no point has Peter ever taken actions by harassment, verbal harassment, direct verbal harassment that were anti Semitic within an email group that featured all Bay Area media, all witnesses. I point blank directly asked Peter to stop. Now, prior to this, I had Peter on my show, hence the photograph of myself, Peter, and Zenny62 blogger in Oakland, a vlogger in Oakland Mayoral election candidate until he didn't get enough signatures, Derek Sue. And I decided this time I was going to, like I've done with everybody else, give Peter a chance. I'm sorry. And I said at one point that Peter actually was okay. He seemed like he was a lot more balanced and mature. But the actions of being consistently left out of forums triggered Peter. And it sent him to a place that he should not have gone to, but he refused to come back from. It's one thing to go there, but he refused to come back from it. And indeed, he should never have gone there. I'm not going to repeat what he said. My last name is Abraham. I'm part Jewish. I will say this. If what Peter had said was directed at somebody like me as being black, you could bet that there had been an effort to move heaven and earth to have him removed from the ballot. Just because his words are anti-Semitic and his harassment direction is anti-Semitic doesn't mean that should not be the case. It should. Peter has got to understand, as I told him on the phone, that his actions hurt people. His words hurt people. And I asked him, why is it so important to you to hurt the feelings of others? I said, why is it so important to you to hurt the feelings of others? He didn't have an answer. I repeated the question. And then finally I said, please stop it. He said, well, I can't. And I said, you're gonna. Peter must realize that he is giving the image of someone so unhinged that the next action he might take against a person could lead to loss of life. That's the appearance he gives. It doesn't matter if he says, well, I didn't mean that. If you take what he said and match it with the terrible actions that have happened to people of Jewish faith in America, particularly recently, you have a right to be concerned. But unlike others who really soft-pedaled Peter or tried to ignore him, I directly told him to stop. I then reached out to Oakland Police Chief Lerone Armstrong to complete my message. At one point, Oakland had a very strong hate crime law put on the books by Oakland's then new city attorney, John Russo. That was the year 2001. Now, the city points to the state hate crime law. We had at one point a $25,000 fine for anyone guilty of committing a hate crime, like what Peter has done. We had a hotline to call. But over the years, we have let that slip away. If you type racism or hate crime in the city charter online document, there's no section of the entire city charter that mentions hate crime or racism or sexism. Well, no, sexism is mentioned, but not racism. We have to change that. There are provisions in our city charter to protect, rightly so, against those of a certain sexual orientation. But the provisions to protect people based on race are strangely not there. I repeat, the provisions to protect people based on race are strangely not in the Oakland City Charter anymore. We have to replace them. It's not a question to ask of why. It's simply an act to put it back. We've got to do that. Meanwhile, in my opinion, since Peter won't apologize for his actions, he should be removed from the ballot. He should be cited. And even if law enforcement thinks that's too much money to spend on an action, something should be done to let Mr. Liu know officially that what he did will not be tolerated. He should be given a warning. Something like that. But not just ignored. Oakland Councilmember District 6 Lauren Taylor wrote a piece in response, but it started off with something where it started off turned me off. He said, Councilmember Taylor, Peter, I know how you like attention. Well, look, that comes from a guy who's looking to gain attention because he wants people to know why he's running for mayor. Okay? So that kind of missive helps no one. We don't need long-winded speeches. We just need Peter to stop. We don't need some intellectual approach. We just need Peter to stop. And we need Peter to stop using the platform provided to him by dint of his signatures and documents being in on time and correctly to use that platform to spread hate. That's what Peter's doing. There's no Trump anymore in his dialogue to push. Remember, Peter originally came in from that perspective in 2014 when he ran. He was a Trumper. So this time, 2014, he was a Trumper. This time, there's no Trump he's pushing. It's just hate. Peter, stop. Subscribe to Zinni62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com. That ends this broadcast.